Episode 78. Han Li had been struggling to master these two spells. But after his sudden breakthrough to the 9th layer, his magic power had doubled, and just like that, the spells became second nature to him. He was absolutely thrilled. As for the remaining spells, Han Li still couldn't grasp them for the time being. With no other choice, he could only set them aside for later to be slowly pondered and studied. The Tainan Fair was about to end, and the number of young cultivators attending the trade event had finally peaked on the last 2 days. At this moment, the main trading plaza where Han Li stood was packed with over 2,000 cultivators, and the number of stalls had multiplied several times over. Seeing this, Han Li gave a bitter laugh. He realized he had actually reached the 9th level, but among so many cultivators, he was still only in the middle of the pack. There were still plenty of people above the 9th layer. Han Li currently had no spirit stones and only a handful of pills, so he harbored no thoughts of treasure hunting. He simply followed the flow of the crowd, moving from one stall to the next. And you know what? Listening to all that really opened Han Li's eyes. He learned a great deal about various magic tools and materials. Han Li found himself more and more engrossed, and before he knew it, he had reached the middle of the plaza.
Nah, no way. I don't want this thing of yours. Bring something else to trade.
This is a fragment of a magic treasure. It's more than enough to trade for yours.
What good is this broken piece to me? Am I supposed to find a core formation cultivator and refine him? You think you can trade that scrap for my gray wind cloth? Dream on.
A magic treasure fragment?
Seriously?
A real magic treasure fragment?
Where would you even find a magic treasure fragment these days?
Exactly.
Let's go check it out. Let's go.
The news of a magic treasure fragment instantly caused a commotion among the nearby cultivators. They swarmed over, immediately surrounding the stall until it was completely packed. Magic treasures were things low-level cultivators wouldn't even dare to dream of. Yet here one was, appearing in the Tainan Valley. Even if it was just a fragment, it was a miracle. It was enough to make these cultivators' hearts itch with desire, like cats catching the scent of something fishy.
Where is it?
Is this a magic treasure?
Han Li was close to that stall and had snagged a prime spot in the inner circle, so he had a perfectly clear view of everything happening right in front of him. Standing before the stall was a man in his late 20s, with dark, weathered skin and rough, calloused hands. At first glance, he looked like a farmer who had somehow wandered into the Tainan Valley. Yet this dark, unassuming fellow was actually a major expert at the 10th layer. As for the stall owner, he was just an ordinary man in blue robes, with a magic power of only 7 or 8 layers. Yet he showed not a trace of fear on his face as he confronted the man before him.
The vendor's collar has a leaf pattern embroidered on it. Could he be a disciple of the Kinye Ridge Ye family?
That's the Yi clan of Kinye Ridge, a famously prominent cultivation family.
No wonder they're so brazen.
On the stall between the two of them lay a piece of yellow cloth with strange patterns and a small semi-transparent scrap of fabric. This rag-like thing was all crumpled and wrinkled, its edges jagged and uneven, as if chewed on by a dog, and it flickered with a white light from time to time, which was rather intriguing.
This fragment is incredible. Anything it covers becomes completely invisible. It doesn't leak a single trace of spiritual chi, and it doesn't stop spiritual chi from entering from the outside either.
The dark-skinned man explained loudly to the stall owner, his face cold. With that, he suddenly turned his sleeve downward, and a small silver mouse scurried out from within.
A first-level spirit beast, the gold-eating mouse.
Truly worthy of a 10th level expert to be able to capture even a first-level demon beast.
Then, the dark-skinned man picked up the cloth and threw it over the golden mouse. Something astonishing happened. The golden mouse and the cloth vanished instantly. Even when viewed with a heavenly eye, there was no trace to be found. The man, seeing the astonishment on everyone's faces, looked rather pleased. Then, with a sudden grab at the empty air, he produced a piece of cloth in his hand, and the little mouse instantly became visible again.
It works on dead things too.
With that, The man produced a small knife, about an inch long and brimming with spiritual chi, placed it on the ground, and covered it again with the cloth.
That's incredible.
Well, my cloth for your item is a fair trade, wouldn't you say?
No deal, no deal. If you want invisibility, just go buy a low-grade mid-tier invisibility talisman. And this thing is so tiny. Would it hide my head or my feet?
Didn't I just tell you? This is a fragment of a magic treasure. If it wasn't forged by a core formation cultivator, then it was made by a nascent soul one. If you're not on the same level, who could possibly see through its concealment? How can a mere escape talisman compare to him?
You can talk until you're blue in the face, but if I can't use the thing, what good is it to me? Then bring 30 spirit stones, or something of equal value, to trade for it.
You?
What? You think you can force a sale? The Yi family isn't someone you can push around.
The Ye family is so impressive.
The burly man didn't back down verbally, but he did loosen his fist, clearly still wary of the Yi family. The big man was furious that the stall owner had used the Yi family to pressure him. As a 10th level expert, he was used to being the one flattered. Suffering this humiliation now, he was tempted to just storm off. But deep down, he couldn't bear to leave that gray wind cloth behind. This magic tool was a perfect match for his cultivation technique. If he could get his hands on it, it would undoubtedly give his power a massive boost. But right now, aside from this magic treasure fragment, everything else he had was useful, and he'd spent all his spirit stones days ago. He was truly caught between a rock and a hard place.
Brother, how about selling that fragment to me? I'll offer 10 spirit stones.
Not for sale. If you want it, bring 30 spirit stones.
Now this fragment of a magic treasure, if it were just a bit larger, it might be worth that price. What a shame. It's just too small, it can't cover much at all.
Seeing the man wouldn't agree, the gray-robed figure showed a look of regret. Without further argument, he melted back into the crowd.
12. You selling?
I'll give you 13.
14 deal?
Fine. 15 then.
Many of the cultivators watching were tempted by this magic treasure fragment. Even if they couldn't use it right away, it was worth keeping around to study. Who knows, they might even gain some insight from it. In no time at all, the price had been driven up to 20. The bidder was a simple-looking young man with a round face. At such a high price, everyone else fell silent. They all felt the price was already steep enough. Any higher, and it would just be wasteful. After all, for low-level cultivators like them, having a dozen or so spirit stones was already pretty good. And the ones who had been calling out bids were mostly disciples from the various families, only they would be a little better off. 20. If he could just pair it with one other item, he might be able to trade the stall owner for that gray wind cloth.
You're willing to offer 20 spirit stones.
The round-faced youth's face flushed red, then paled white, for reasons unknown. He was utterly flustered.
I don't have that many spirit stones.
No. Then what were you shouting about? Just messing with me for fun?
I was just watching everyone bid and thought it looked fun, so I blurted out a number. Please forgive me, brother.
The round-faced youth hurriedly tried to explain himself, sweat the size of soybeans rolling down his forehead. How could a mere 5th-level cultivator possibly withstand that kind of spiritual pressure?
Who was it that just bid 19? I'm willing to throw in a spirit stone for free so you can buy this thing.
Silence hung in the air, with no one taking up the offer. Looks like that gentleman has had second thoughts. He doesn't want it anymore.
Then, what about the brother who bid 18?
The young man looked at the black-bearded man's increasingly hostile expression, on the verge of tears. He's just a lowly rogue cultivator, with only 2 spirit stones to his name, and those took him a whole year of hard work to earn. Just as everyone thought they were in for a good show.
Hold it.
What are you trying to do?
The burly man stared at the newcomer, his patience wearing dangerously thin. If this guy was here to pick a fight, he wouldn't mind taking him down too. He wasn't weak either, a cultivator at the 9th layer.
I'm quite interested in this item. I'd like to purchase it.
The cultivator the burly man had mistaken for someone else was none other than Han Li. From the moment the man mentioned the magic treasure fragment could turn invisible and conceal spiritual chi, Han Li was intrigued. A vague idea popped into his head. Once the black-clad man had finished concealing the small dagger, the idea in Han Li's mind became even clearer. He immediately became determined to obtain the magic treasure fragment.
How much are you offering?
I'm not here to buy. I intend to trade for it with this.
Han Li reached into his sleeve and, without any haste, produced a talisman, placing it on the stall.
A flight talisman.
Is that a high-grade primary talisman?
That's incredible.
The surrounding cultivators were all astonished. After all, since the start of the Tainan Fair, only 5 or 6 primary high-grade talismans had appeared, and each one had sold for a staggering price. The sight of the flight talisman made both the burly man and the stall owner's hearts race, and the looks they cast toward Han Li grew far more complicated. After all, someone who possesses a high-grade talisman is hardly likely to be a nobody.
All right, I'll trade.
But before that, I'd like to test it. You claim this fragment doesn't hinder the object it covers from absorbing spiritual chi from the outside. If that's true, I'll make the exchange immediately. If that's not the case, I can't afford to trade for this at a loss.